I'm Mike Logan.
I'm Christoper Tallon.
And this better be good. That's right, it's the weekly podcast where I review a movie before seeing it and review it again after seeing it. And this week, I will be seeing Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm joined by my good friend and author and podcaster, Christoper Tallon. Christoper, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I guess it should catch people up to speed. It's been 4 years since the last episode.
So hopefully you're all caught up.
So now you guys are caught up. So anybody, fans of the show, remember that Garrett Elzinga used to be the co-host. He and I have grown into different directions in our careers. He's doing very well over at Dr. Grins. I'm doing whatever I do every week. And this time the show is going to be different every episode. Every movie I see, I'll see with a new guest. Sometimes I'll bring back some guests, obviously, but for the first episode, I figured I'd bring a guy who's really near and dear to me. We've traveled the country together. Me and Chris. Chris, thank you. Say something for the people.
We've crossed several time zones together, and it's all been a joy. Except for the 2 seconds where I was like, when we were in Denver together, and I'm very ADD, and I just kind of get distracted, and I'll walk right up to the curb while I'm looking around, and Mike kept grabbing me like, bro, you're walking into traffic.
Yeah, that was a learning moment for the both of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so Deadpool and Wolverine, it's like the most anticipated movie this year. I mean, aside from Twisters. What does Chris want from this movie?
I honestly don't know what to expect from this. I expect it to follow almost like a romantic comedy type of thing where like they don't like each other, they do like each other. They, like however they do it, except with extreme violence.
I do like that idea, and I do think that's probably where they're going to lean. One thing I really want from this film, and I don't have any notes, by the way, I'm not like cheating, but like actually having a real opinion. I really want this movie to successfully reset the MCU, because the MCU is terrible now, and like people who go back to the archives of this show, and there's tons of episodes from the Phase 3 of the MCU, the Endgame phase, all that stuff. Some of those movies are classics. Like we still talk about that stuff to this day. Yeah. And we haven't had anything like that since Tony Stark snapped his finger. Yeah. So what I hope, with Deadpool being the only fourth wall breaking character, obviously in all of MCU, he can literally just say, "Why don't we do this differently?" and change the course of stuff, which is what I hope they'll do.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Deadpool 2? Like I don't want to. How much spoiler can it be about
Deadpool 2?
Yeah.
Spoil it.
Can we just assume people have seen it?
For some of you, if you're listening to a review of Deadpool and Wolverine, you've at least seen Deadpool 2.
Yeah, because Deadpool 2, the way that they do the time travel thingy at the end, they do kind of reset a lot of things. The old Deadpool, the one that everybody hated, has been murdered.
Yeah. The mouthless one. The Merc without the mouth.
Yeah. And the Ryan Reynolds that did Green Lantern was murdered before he could film it. So,
and that I feel like was a better service, honestly, than killing Deadpool in X-Men Origins, because Green Lantern was a stinking pile of garbage, like a hot rat's ass of a film. It was not good.
Yeah. Well, they tried to make it twice, and neither time it's been great, right?
What did they try to make it again?
Wait, no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking a different green character, Green Hornet.
Oh, yeah. Also, equally not a great movie.
Yeah.
So currently, obviously, nobody's seen this movie yet. People, normies, critics have seen it. The Rotten Tomato score currently sits at 81% with the critic score, which is low. Puts it down toward the bottom of most of the MCU films, around there with like Eternals kind of numbers, actually. But that's after 207 reviews. So
I'm going to assume some of them are like, it was unnecessarily this, that, or whatever, because, I mean, this movie has gone pretty hard with, like the strap-ons and the sex toys and the things that are not typical of your superhero movie.
I, like a smart person, turned my phone on airplane mode and forgot that my iPad was using the internet for my phone. So let me just turn that back on. We'll cut this all out. None of this is getting cut out.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. The general consensus from the critics, which I will read to you, but I will say right now, and this leads to my second question. Yeah. Do you give a shit about critics and their opinions about movies? Do they influence the way you see films? If you see something's got a Rotten Tomato score that's really high, be more inclined to watch it?
It might change my expectation a little going in, but I mean, Siskel and Ebert hated the Three Amigos, and I like the Three Amigos a lot. So
Siskel and Ebert, I'm pretty sure they actually changed their review of the Three Amigos later. They
did
did
they?
that with a lot of movies that, like,
Huh.
over time they understood, like,
Yeah.
maybe didn't get it at the time.
Like
They've
we've
actually,
watched it now, we understand the jokes more. And,
yeah, Roger Ebert was really good at that. I don't know about Siskel so much, but Roger Ebert would definitely do that.
yeah.
So let's see. I mean, most of where are the top reviewers at? Not the all critics, top critics. Here we go. So the Detroit News, love Detroit. They gave it technically a rotten score, which the original score is a B minus, but it's considered rotten because of the way the scoring system actually works. So they gave it a B minus in the Detroit News, but then that qualified as a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Huh.
But they said alternately hilarious and exhausting, and stuff with more meta narrative than it has actual narrative. Deadpool Wolverine is a massive corporate in joke masquerading as a movie. But see, isn't that what we signed up for? Like, that's Deadpool.
I mean, they're all everything in that genre is like massive and corporate, but at least this is different and aware of itself. Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I like about it.
There's a difference between an Xbox transforming into a Transformer in a Michael Bay film and attacking a lady's face than the product placement scene in Wayne's World. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to do it that can be done funny, satirically, and tastefully. I hope this leans more into the. I trust Ryan Reynolds. Like, the guy's a marketing genius. He knows how to, like, sell you things without letting you know he's selling you things.
Yeah.
But I hope it lands more in the, like, okay, this is actually taking a subversive look at corporate, juggernauts that, like, Marvel is. And if not, that would suck. But I don't know. I don't really put too much faith into critics because critics tend to not really know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, they don't really have their finger on the zeitgeist for the most part.
Yeah.
TikTok reviewers have more sway than them usually.
And in general, I wish I could think of examples off the top of my head, but like just in watching those like 10 to 15 minute like reviews of like cult classic and almost in cult classics, it seems like the more weird a movie is, the more critics don't really know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. The more rule breaking it is. Yeah. And this movie breaks all the rules, like, and highlights that it's doing it. So I think a lot of times critics are like, well, what are they trying to do here? This isn't artistic. It's like, no, it's not artistic. It's just like absurd. It's just weird. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't think people understand. I think people forget that absurd is a form of comedy.
Yeah.
And it literally means exactly what it's supposed to mean. Like, I actually, the other day was talking to a gentleman. I called him a gentleman respectfully online. And I
use that term loosely.
And remember the video, the old school clip of Weird Al conducting, like, I think it's the Philharmonic Orchestra.
Yeah, just, like a cartoon character.
1, 2, 3, 4! Like, it's a beautiful, like, people go look it up. It's a hilarious clip.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this video, got millions of likes, all the comments. Weird Al's a national treasure. Everyone loves it. One guy just says, "This is funny. I don't understand where the humor is. I don't understand." Like, you can tell they were just like, didn't get it.
Yeah.
And so then all the comments were just like, "You don't get it, move on." Like, you don't get it, move on. Yeah. And then he just kept replying to everybody else with, "I need you to tell me how this is funny." And I'm like, "Bro,
explain it to me."
If you don't think it's funny, you don't think it's funny. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Somebody wasn't allowed to watch cartoons as a kid.
Clearly, Weird Al hurt him as a child or something. Like, he just turned maybe his dad recorded over his clarinet recital with UHF as a kid, and that just stuck with him for the rest of his life. He's a mortal enemy now of Weird Al.
Yeah.
So you have to be living under a rock at this point to have not seen some sort of marketing for this film. From the Wolverine popcorn bucket to the best friend necklaces to the Xbox butt controller. Have you seen the butt controllers?
No, I have not seen the butt controllers.
Oh my goodness. Xbox made Wolverine and Deadpool controllers, but the backs are shaped like their butts. So the first two, when you think about how the first Deadpool was marketed, which was just a pre-vised video leaked on YouTube. That's how they got the first movie made. To now having the Disney Marvel juggernaut behind them.
Yeah, Disney. Oh, that's so strange to think it's a Disney film.
It's a Disney film. It's an R-rated Disney film.
Yeah.
Do you think that the marketing will have a bigger effect on the box office numbers, or do you think it won't make much of a difference?
I think generally it always helps.
Because there are a lot of movies that get crazy marketing that don't do well.
But, well, yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is sometimes they'll market a movie really well, but they'll do it, like, slightly towards the wrong audience, like when they did the Batman Returns with all the stuff at McDonald's.
Yeah,
and then these kids are all crying at the movie theater while they're watching Danny DeVito bite somebody's nose off.
That's a great story. If you don't know the story of Batman Returns and why Tim Burton wasn't asked to come back for Batman Forever, just look it up, because they asked for a Batman movie like the first film he gave them, and he gave them, if you've seen Batman Returns, it's a great movie in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's so dark and so unnecessary in so many parts.
Comically dark and absurd and very weird, and just...
You got Danny DeVito chopping on raw fish the whole movie.
And Danny DeVito looks like a character out of one of those claymation movies.
He legitimately gave, like, he didn't terrified to the point where I couldn't watch the movie as a kid, but I definitely had, like, nightmares about him. You know what I mean? He was scary.
Yeah. Yeah, he was... Danny DeVito is just a perversely comic genius.
So with all the marketing of them, I mean, they've been on every YouTube channel. They did Hot Ones, they did a cooking channel with Gordon Ramsay, they've done all this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that, one, is there a new audience to bring into Deadpool? And if there is, do you think that this marketing will succeed in doing it? That's a good question. I like that.
That is a good question. I don't know. I'd have to see like what the numbers actually looked like from the first two movies, I guess, because I don't know. At this point, it seems like everybody's already seen not all the Marvel movies, but at least some of them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the marketing is going to help more people see it, but that could be part of why it's... I don't know. I guess it wouldn't really have an effect on the critics' scores. But I do wonder if, with all the marketing they do, like, if they're going to reach more people than actually are right for the movie, and if that might hurt their scores.
Well, I think the R rating will deter that, because I do think that, like, people tend to... R-rated movies are hard to sell normally, except for Deadpool.
But I mean, you might have a whole X-Men crowd that's just coming from X-Men to watch this too.
That's true too. And if they've never seen the Deadpool films, the Fox ones,
they're gonna be like, "What is this film?" Yeah,
they're in for quite the shock.
Yeah.
Which does lead me to the next topic. I do think the genius part of the marketing was displaying the chemistry between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Because if you've seen any clips of them in any of the marketing they've done, they've got just the best chemistry.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, doesn't seem like Ryan Reynolds could have bad chemistry with many people, or Hugh Jackman for that matter.
Yeah.
It's two of America's sweethearts, and they put them together and gave them an R rating, which is going to be great.
Yeah, unless you just picked a person with no charisma, but like that's not Hugh Jackman or any other.
No, I mean Hugh Jackman's a Tony Award-winning
famous,
stage actor.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day that was. People are always angry about things, but somebody posted a very funny, angry take, and that was, can we stop dragging Hugh Jackman out to play Wolverine? Let the man eat some carbs and sing show tunes. I was like, yeah, he probably wants to stop working out at some point. Okay, last question before we wrap it up and then head on back there to see this what's going to be a literal fuck fest by the verbiage tone. And who knows, maybe otherwise. What is the wildest cameo you think we'll see? Because you know this movie is going to be filled with cameos, whether it be from the Marvel universe, maybe the Fox universe, maybe outside, maybe Blake Lively shows up. But what do you think is going to be the craziest cameo we get?
I would like to see multiple Professor X cameos.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So like James McAvoy, Patrick Stewart.
Because he even said in the one movie, he's like, this helmet smells like Patrick Stewart.
That's a really good one. I mean, could you imagine if they were at the animated one too?
Yeah, if somehow he goes into a drug sequence where everybody's animated and it's all X-Men 97.
Dude, an X-Men 97 cameo would be great.
That would be amazing if they could tie it in somehow.
Somehow, it's Deadpool. That's the thing. That's the beauty of it. He could literally just say, I watched X-Men 97 yesterday. I'm
going back to my earlier thing. What do I want to see? I want to see an X-Men 97 cameo.
Ah, okay.
I want to see an infusion somehow.
Here's what I think the wildest cameo will be. Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. I think that would be the wildest cameo. Kevin Feige came out. By the way, for Kevin Feige, if anybody doesn't know who that is, he is like the guru of the MCU, the guy who's in charge of everything. He does it all. Google a picture of that guy and tell me he does not need facial hair. He has no facial hair and he looks like a thumb. Like he just really needs something, like a mustache, sideburns, something to break it up, just to get rid of that thumb look. Totally off topic. But he came out recently and said that, with Deadpool being able to pull Hugh Jackman back from the dead, literally, from the film Logan, now it does open the door for Robert Downey Jr. possibly make a cameo if done tastefully, he said, which tells me maybe it's done in this movie. Did you look at a picture of him?
Because I did.
Does he look like a thumb?
You're not wrong. Yeah, especially with the hat on. Yeah.
He looks like a thumb, man. Like every time I see him, I'm like, grow a beard, dude. Just do something.
He's got his look and he sticks with it, though. Oh, whoa, there he is without a hat.
Okay, so we are going to go in and we're gonna watch this movie. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna tell you what we really thought of it. The first half of the second review will be spoiler free, and then we'll get into the spoiler stuff. So as you remember before, you're gonna hear the trailer for the movie, and then we're gonna be right back.
Happy birthday to you.
All right, okay. It's been a challenging few years, for sure, but I'm happy. That is because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Make a wish, buddy.
Wade Wilson?
Who's asking? Whoa, 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 whoa. Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me. Wade, you are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus. God, please! Oh my fuck! God, I love this part. Wait! Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
You just saw the trailer or heard it. You didn't see anything. You just heard the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. And we just saw the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. Why did I say Deadpool? Deadpool and Wolverine. Chris, I'm just going to open it up to you. But first, I will say, just so you know, and the audience knows if you're new to the show or whatever, first couple of minutes, we're going to talk about the movie spoiler-free. And then I'll give a little spoiler warning. I'll say, hey, if you don't want to hear anything ruined, go away. And then at that point, if you do want to stop listening, go watch the movie, and then come back and listen to the second half. A lot of our audience, these classes are worst performing things. It's not even a spout on them. Look at this guy. It looks like Dokes from Dexter. Look. Surprise, motherfucker. Anyway, you guys can't see him, but some guy just walked by who looked like the character Dokes from Dexter. So, at any rate, so spoiler free for the first couple of minutes, and then we'll jump right into it. Chris, what'd you think?
I liked the movie. Maybe I'm wrong. It seemed like the least serious of all the Deadpool movies.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely felt, for me, I thought it was fun. I think it had some pacing issues, and I think it had some tonal issues.
Yeah.
Only under you're right. The first two Deadpool movies did seem to have a heart to it, and this does have a heart, but it seems like it's kind of trying to have a heart where it doesn't really have one anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, this is trying to be as spoiler free as possible, which is really hard to do with this movie because after the first, really once the movie starts, it's just spoiler. You can't. Everything is unexpected.
Everything,
Nothing is from the trailer. Nothing from the trailers. Everything from the trailers pretty much is in 5 minutes of the movie, and the rest of the movie is just nothing like what the trailer kind of leads you to believe.
Yeah.
Not in a good or bad way. Just a lot of stuff to spoil in it. But having said that, Yes, I agree with you. The tone was really light, really, really light, which is attributed to the director, Sean Levy, who his past work is a lot of Ryan Reynolds stuff. So like, he did like Free Guy, he did, hold on a second.
Did he do The Proposal?
He did not do The Proposal. But, hold on, sorry, I gotta turn my hatchback back on. Yeah, so Sean Levy doesn't really have a lot of heavy material under his belt, so it kind of makes sense that he would keep it pretty light.
Yeah.
He directed a lot of episodes of Stranger Things. Here we go. That director, previous. Here we go. Okay, so the movie The Adam Project that came out like 2 years ago that nobody really saw, another Ryan Reynolds vehicle, Free Guy, a couple episodes of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, all the Night at the Museum movies, The Internship. So he's definitely, Real Steel was probably the most serious movie he's made.
Yeah.
Date Night. He directed a Beyonce music video, The Pink Panther. So you see, Cheaper by the Dozen. It's all like comedies that he was used to is coming from, which also I felt showed in a lot of the action scenes. Not all of them, but some of them I felt like could have done with a more deft-handed directing action.
Yeah.
But all in all, if I leave a movie with a big smile on my face, I've had a good time.
Yeah.
And I had a big smile on my face at the end of it. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was a lot of inside baseball, which I feel like is like good or bad. Like, I mean, how many of the references did you get? Because I mean,
I don't even know. I'm sure that there was some that went over my head, but there were a lot.
and it was a lot of it relied on you knowing a lot about Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds personally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was he even references Hugh Jackman's divorce in the movie. So I mean, like, it's a lot of stuff where it's like, if you pay attention to these guys' careers, you're going to be really rewarded with a good time.
Yeah.
But I felt like it could have used a bit more legitimate humor, if you know what I mean. Like regular actual jokes as opposed to just like meta humor, which I can see where that one complaint from the Detroit Free Press may have been.
Yeah. It's. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more seriousness to it, just a little bit more.
I think it did. It did. I mean, you do run into the trap too of this is the MCU.
Yeah.
And so when you think of the first two Deadpool movies, they're Fox films, 20th Century Fox, which means they're a lot grittier, they're a lot more serious, they're a lot more, and by as serious as Deadpool gets. But the second you jump into the MCU, you're going to lose a lot of your grit. And you're going to lose, and it's going to be a little more family friendly and a lot funnier. So I honestly didn't even think about that going in. Like, oh, what if because they don't water down at all. It's not watered down, that's for sure. It's actually, one might say it's more violent, more sexually suggestive. It's more everything than any of the first two Deadpool movies. Like, I think, in my opinion, easily. Mainly because the body count's a little higher. But it just felt like, the serious parts in the movie were only played serious for like a split second. And then they were immediately diffused, which is kind of a Marvel problem. Where like, if you have any kind of serious moment, they need to make a joke at the end of it instead of actually letting it ride out. And I do, like, before we went in, you said that you were hoping that the heart from the movie came from, what was it?
Wait, say that again?
Before we went in, you were saying that you were hoping there was going to be heart coming from...
Oh, like a romance movie
There
style.
we go,
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel like they dropped the ball on like having any kind of no love interest. There wasn't really. They kept saying like, you know, Deadpool's fighting for his friends, right?
Yeah.
And this is still spoiler free. Deadpool fighting for his friends, but the whole film you don't really see his friends.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel the connection that he has to his friends. The first two movies was about Vanessa, which you could tell, you know, he's in love with her and he fights for her. So it just seemed like there wasn't a reason for them to be fighting, except for the fact that the timelines were being blah blah blah. Which again, spoiler free. But I just need more of a reason. What's the reason?
Yeah. But if you just want to go to see a movie that's really fun to watch, then hell yeah.
It's very fun to watch, like really fun. And that's the reason we're not talking as much is because this is the spoiler-free section. We're now finishing the spoiler-free section so we can actually talk about this movie. So at this point in the episode, if you're still listening and you want to see the movie with no spoilers, which I highly recommend you do, turn this off right now. All right, now that they're gone, let's all talk shit about the people who left. But no, so come back to the episode when you've seen it, and then listen to the second half, because this is now spoilerific. You've been warned. There's no turning back. I keep leaning into the phone as if that's where it's being recorded. There's no turning back here. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
There are so many cameos in this movie.
So many cameos.
Like, so many, like, more so than I thought there could have been. And the cameos that they chose to do, I would have never thought they were going to do.
Yeah. It felt like instead of extras, they were like, let's just have different random MCU people.
Well, it wasn't MCU. It was all Fox property people.
Oh, fantastic.
Elektra, Blade, Fantastic Four. It was all. That's why I said the little. So in the post-credits scene, before the post-credits, during the credits, they have a clip, like behind-the-scenes footage for pretty much all of the Fox Marvel properties. And so that was kind of their love letter to, like, the Fox Marvel properties are done. So here's our in memoriam kind of segment. And so the cameos you get, you're thinking you're going to get MCU cameos the whole film.
Yeah.
And they even start teasing it by having them go. So if you've listened to this part, you've seen the movie, hopefully. Deadpool gets a hold of a TVA time variant travel door thing. And, first at the end of the second Deadpool, uses Cable's machine to go through time and stuff.
Yep.
And they allude to the fact in the first act of this movie that he tried to join the Avengers by jumping over to Earth 616, which is the MCU timeline of Marvel. Earth 1000, whatever it is the Fox timeline. Which is hilarious that every time they go to the Fox timeline, it looks like it's on a backlot.
Yeah.
like they really slapped Fox in the face like crazy, this movie. Because every time you go into Earth 616, it was a beautiful sets, like large, elaborate, like CGI like stuff. But then you go to the regular Earth that Deadpool lives in, and it looks so cheap. Like, it just doesn't look as expensive as the MCU portion of the film.
I loved it. They had half of the 20th Century Fox logo sticking out of the ground in the middle of the wood.
Oh man! But I'm off track. They tease it when he goes to try to join the Avengers. He talks with Happy Hogan inside of Stark Tower. He alludes to the fact that guy doesn't do cameos, obviously meaning Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And that's the first...
Well, closest to a cameo we got was just pictures of him in that office.
Yeah. But I mean, my favorite cameo was the Swerve cameo. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a main character, but he's definitely a main plot point in this film, is Chris Evans, who pops up, and you definitely think he's Captain America when he shows up. And then one of the best swerves I've seen in a minute, he's actually Johnny Flame, Johnny Flame from Fantastic Four, which I thought was just genius.
He's gonna say it.
Avengers, flame on! I lost it. I think I clapped. Like, when it happened.
As I was walking out, I heard at least two people going, I for sure thought that was Captain America.
I think everybody. I think that was the point.
So good.
But then when you get to the actual team up, because these Deadpool movies always have a team up. There's whether it be at the first one where he forgot all his guns in the car because they actually didn't have enough budget to shoot the actual fight that they wanted to do. Then you get the second one where he forms the X-Force, and then everybody dies instantly, except for Peter, of course. And then in this one, we get, honestly, a great team up that you don't think is actually going to work out, but then does.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's, again, spoiler, we've already spoiled a bunch, but I mean, it's fucking Elektra. It's Channing Tatum as Gambit, which is, everybody knows, if you follow Channing Tatum's career, he's been trying to get a Gambit film made for about a decade, and it's never worked out.
Yeah.
And then X-23 from Logan, and the shocker of all shocker cameos. Sorry, somebody just walked in, don't want to... Blade Wesley Snipes.
That's the only time in that entire movie Mike actually reached over and touched me when Blade showed up.
I did. Blade showed up and I just started slapping Chris. I did not see that coming.
No.
And I mean, if you know anything about...
I don't think anybody would have possibly guessed Blade would be a cameo in that movie.
Well, if anybody who knows anything about the actual film Blade Trinity, which was the last Blade film that came out back in, whatever that was, 2009. It co-starred Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes, and Wesley Snipes famously hated Ryan Reynolds. Hated him with a passion, didn't refuse to talk to him on set, just made the movie what it is today, which is a terrible film because Ryan Reynolds is pretty bad at it. Wesley Snipes is bad at it because he hates Ryan Reynolds. And so the first line he says to him in this movie when motherfucking Wesley Snipes shows up as Blade, in the full Blade, looking a little skinnier and a little older these days, but still looking badass. First thing he says to him is, I don't like you. Yeah, you never have. I just love that we've come to a point now where, like, I don't know, people can not take themselves so seriously these days, and just for the good of, like, a great film, Wesley Snipes shows up, like, and then you get an amazing fight scene that happens later in the film with all of these characters together.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like I said, 3 of the action scenes I thought were really well done. The one action scene I thought was not well done, unfortunately, was that scene. The big team-up fight scene, I felt like it struggled with a lot of, like, shaky cam work, a lot of, like, quick cuts, quick edits. Whereas there are a couple of other fights where, I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be iconic fight scene where Wolverine pulls his old school mask on, and then they have an old dog style oneer. For any of the non-film nerds out there, it's a oneer is a one unbroken take that usually starts in one position and ends in another. And they did a nod to the film Old Boy in the very famous hallway fight scene where the camera just stays on one guy fighting down a hallway for like 2 full minutes. It's amazing. If you haven't seen Old Boy, the original Old Boy, not the remake, go watch it. It's fantastic. But they give a great nod to it in this movie. And I think anytime they had intention with their action scenes and they were trying to tell a story through the action, they did really well. Like the fight in the Honda Odyssey.
That was great.
I mean, the first fight they have when they first get to the Void, and then the third fight when they have. I mean, every fight they have is in different stages of their actual arc. So when those things are done well, I thought it did really well.
Yeah.
But I just did not like I'll call it the Ant-Man fight, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but
Paul Rudd finally aged.
what did you think? What did you think of the action overall in the movie?
I thought it was good, and I guess in any movie that's not like a comic book movie, I would say it might have been a little bit much. But like knowing that those movies pretty much are like every couple of minutes there's something big and exciting happening,
Yeah.
I was kind of braced for it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I still can't get over. I mean, I might have to rewatch the first 2 Deadpools, but this movie just seems so much more violent. Like the amount of times he stabbed people in the penis, like in this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say one guy got stabbed straight up in the dick. A couple of guys,
Multiple guys.
a couple of guys got stabbed in the taint, and one guy got stabbed in the ass.
One guy got stabbed in the dick and taint at the same time. Or two different guys at the same time. And then the guy called out Deadpool for being gross. I mean, I just feel like
It was fun seeing all the other different characters swearing, though.
yes. I mean, being able to also seeing Elektra, Blade, and I guess Gambit to an extent because he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. They think that's hilarious. But it was really cool seeing characters that I grew up watching, which weren't in great film. Blade was obviously awesome. But Elektra, not great movie. X-Men Origins, not a great movie. It was cool seeing those characters actually get to be badasses in an R-rated film. Because, I mean, the Blade movies are R-rated, but they're kind of done schlocky. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the first one, like, the blood looks, like, cartoonish, and, like it pools everywhere and stuff. No pun intended. And I felt like Blade really got a chance to, like, be a fucking badass in this one.
I almost think that this movie was more redemptive for those characters. It did more for them than it did for Deadpool and Wolverine.
It kind of felt to me, I mean, with the amount of blatant, I mean, I'm not even going to call them jabs, the amount of blatant haymakers they threw at 20th Century Fox in this movie. Like, I don't mean full-blown haymakers. Like,
I mean, he straight up says, like, fuck you, Fox.
Deadpool pulls the boom mic into the shot and tells Fox to fuck off. I mean, just like the way they just are able to do that and then stuff it all into the movie is just, it must have been very therapeutic for everybody involved who was involved in those Fox franchises.
Yeah.
Because I know one time I worked at a restaurant that had a comedy show, an open mic show, and the owner of that restaurant was a piece of shit. It was actually a hotel bar place, and the owner was a terrible guy. And I ended up quitting. And the day I quit, he tried to fire me after I quit. And I said, "No, I'm doing my 2 weeks. Like, I'm going to get paid." And then the reason I left, I kept my 2 weeks in was because my last shift just happened to be on comedy night. So I asked to go up to do time that night, and I posted on all my social media, "I'm going to tear this place apart." And that place was packed, and it was the most therapeutic night of comedy. I tore this owner a new asshole in his own restaurant in front of a packed house. And that's what every time like Deadpool did, or Ryan Reynolds did any of those winks about Fox, not treating Deadpool well, I was just like, that probably feels really good.
Yeah.
How about, okay, who was your favorite Deadpool? Because in this film, they claim to have had at least 100 Deadpools from a count.
Well, and in the credits, they like named every single one.
Did they
of them.
really?
Yeah, there was a Canada pool.
We're gonna have to look this up right now.
Yeah, I think they named each and every one of them in the credits. Oh yeah, that's Kidpool. She's the filthiest.
So who was your favorite Deadpool?
If Kidpool had gotten a little more screen time, maybe Kidpool. But,
Yeah, that's
I don't know. Dogpool was pretty cool.
okay. You know, I found myself a real. I'm like that. What's that? Who's that guy in the Joe Rogan show?
Oh, Jamie?
Yeah.
Jamie, pull it up. Oh, you know what? There was one that looked really cool, but I don't remember seeing outside of like when they first all show up. There was one that looked like a character from like Street Fighter, and they had like these thick, heavy red robes on, but I don't remember seeing them.
I'm just gonna start naming them. So everyone already knows Dogpool, very famous from the marketing. Lady Deadpool, who does get a couple of lines too. Headpool, who has a lot of lines.
Headpool.
Cowboy Deadpool. Kidpool.
Yep.
Watario, a.k.a. Ronin Pool. That was the most badass pool, I think, in my opinion. Deadpool 2099, who we saw at the very end. He had like the laser guns.
Yeah.
We got Golden Age Deadpool, Zen Pool, Peter, well, obviously Peter. Oh, there's only a list of like the main ones I can see, I suppose. Well, those are the 10 prominent ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in the movie, there's dozens of them that get killed for a split second and then come right back because they're dead. But
It's hard to say. It's almost like looking at like the Where's Waldo, where they all look like Waldo, kind of.
yeah,
It's like it's too overwhelming to be like, well, that's the coolest one.
yeah, I still think it was the Ronin one. Like, just
looking,
looking samurais. Like, he got the straw hat down, and
Yeah.
it was a good look.
There was the one that was in all black. If that one had like a one-on-one scene, I bet they could have made that one look pretty cool too.
Yeah, that one did look dope. He looked like
Yeah.
Black Noir from the Bullies.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the audience score is still not registered yet on Rotten Tomatoes. People are just now. Well, but I mean,
I wonder
the
if they
first
have a
screenings.
threshold.
Well, the first screenings just ended,
True.
so people got to go online and.
I'm sure there were a few advanced screenings, but yeah, probably not enough to get.
There were no advanced screenings of this for the audience, just for critics.
Huh.
Okay, we're gonna ask you the most important question of the entire show.
Okay.
We're gonna rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 5. So the tradition is there's always a rating, and I was just making up. So it's 1 out of 5, whatever you want to give it. So 2, 3, blah blah, and then you make up a rating scale. So I would say, I give this movie, 3 lady pools out of blah blah blah. What would you score this film out of a potential of 5?
I feel like a 3.5. Not quite a 4, but it's like a really good 3.5.
I'll give you that. I 100% agree.
You know what I mean?
3.5 what?
3.5. 3.5 baby pools.
3.5 baby pools. I'm gonna agree with your score. That's what I think I would give it, because I think obviously if 3 is average, I guess like 2.5 I would feel like that. If 3 is average, 3.5 is above. This is an above average film.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie. It's very, very funny. It's really, really funny.
Yeah.
Like really funny. Like I haven't laughed that hard in the theater in a long time. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But I think I can't get over the first act felt a little clunky to me. And also I was kind of confused for the first like 20 minutes of the movie. Because it did seem like they kind of glossed over the end of Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
And I was like very much like, well,
It was a very TV like on the last episode, bang, bang, bang.
well, yeah, but then they didn't really do a good enough job of explaining, like, Vanessa had moved on, and like,
Yeah.
it took
Yeah,
a while
all of
for
a
you
sudden
to
they're just
glean
like,
that.
and 6 months later, everything sucks. It's like, wait,
Yeah, the first act definitely rushed through like the backstory of what happened between Deadpool 2 and Deadpool 3, which I felt like kind of suffered for me at the beginning. And I kept thinking, okay, I want this movie to get going now.
There's probably like a director's cut that's 3.5 hours long.
I hope there is. I'll watch
It has like an extended first act.
Yeah, I
That
feel
would
like
be
it's
nice.
needed. I feel like it's needed because it just felt like
They just shoot right into the action.
yeah, I was just confused like for
Yeah.
the first couple of minutes until I finally figured out, okay, so he saved a lot of the friends that died with the time machine from Cable. Vanessa left. I had to figure all that out, which I didn't really like to do. But
Maybe they figured since there's already been so many X-Men, Logan, Wolverine movies, and there's already a couple of Deadpools, people didn't want a whole bunch of like exposition. They just wanted to like see these guys just start fucking people up.
which is true, but then it still took them a while to get to that point. So I'm like, if you're gonna take the time to like, if you got a first act to fill, like you gotta give us something.
The unlikely team up there where they've got Deadpool just fighting with Wolverine's skeleton. That was amazing.
That was hilarious. That was one of the best parts of the first act. Was
How are we going to do this without desecrating Wolverine?
We're not. But, so yeah, I will give this movie, like I said, if the pacing issues at the beginning are what held me back from getting into it. Once it got going, I did feel like it dealt with a little bit of issues when it came to tone. I wish they would have leaned more into Logan's tragic backstory.
There's just so much to balance with all the stuff that they fit into that movie too.
Yeah, they had a lot of things to do. But having said that, 3.5 because I loved all the meta humor. As a guy who loves pop culture and knows all the behind the scenes things, it's nice to be able to laugh at that kind of stuff. Some of those jokes were really deep cuts. I'm trying to think of what's the deepest cut I can kind of think of. I mean, it had to have been the divorce joke.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think he says too he asked Logan to rip his shirt off. I know you keep your shirt on all the time because you let yourself go ever since the divorce. Which I was just people probably don't even know that Hugh Jackman got divorced from his wife of 40-something years, 2 months ago. So it's one of those things where it's that's a really deep cut.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a casual layman watching the movie, it's just a funny joke because the divorce can mean anything. It can mean him and his friends, that old X-Men, stuff like that. But the fact that it is referencing Hugh Jackman's actual divorce,
where somebody puts their hands on Deadpool and he's like, "Whoa, I'm going to tell Blake."
Or most inside base. I think the most inside baseball, and we actually talked about it this morning, was the asked where the intimacy coordinator was.
Yes, that's so random. Out of nowhere, we talk about intimacy coordinators in the morning, and then they have a nod to, where's the intimacy coordinator?
So yeah, 3.5. I'm gonna give it 3.5 gold-plated 50 cal Desert Eagle.
Ooh,
out of 5.
Nice.
So there you have it. Next week, join me as I'll be doing Twister next week. I don't know who my guest is yet, but you'll find out. Chris, I want to thank you for being my guest. Before you go, though, people who are still listening probably want to know who the fuck you are. Pitch your stuff.
Hi, I'm Christoper Tallon, author of Switchers. It's a novel about teens in 1996 who get in a time travel war against their adult selves. And I also have a podcast called A Podcast for Creative People.
There it is.
I talk to creative people.
So you can find them. So wherever you listen, we don't listen to this one, just go search his podcast. You can listen to his. And then I'm on an episode from years ago, too.
Yes, and we'll have to update that.
Yeah, so thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you tune in next week. Like us, share, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I've been Mike Logan.
I've been Christoper Tallon.
And that was good.